Hello there, this is L24 World News and these are your headlines. The preparatory work for the 90th session of Great Algerian-Mauritanian Joint Committee for Cooperation, which is scheduled to take place this Wednesday, started Sunday in Nouakchott. Thousands of people lined up through the night in the Scottish capital, Edinburgh, to pay their last respect to Queen Elizabeth II, whose coffin is lying in state at the city's St. Giles Cathedral. Iran reaffirmed on Monday its readiness to cooperate with the UN nuclear watchdog after agency said in a report it cannot ensure the peaceful nature of Tehran's nuclear program. Ukraine forces continue to push forward around Kharkiv, recapturing a wide swath of territory and even reaching the Russian border in the region. Hello again and good afternoon. I'm your host Abdulrahim Kashor and those who are today's top stories. First in our topic on news, the preparatory work for the 90th session of the Great Algerian-Mauritanian Joint Cooperation Committee, which is scheduled to be held this Wednesday, was launched in Mauritanian capital Nouakchott. This session comes after 6 years of absence as a result of two countries' preoccupations with the conducting many political entitlements as well as outbreak of COVID-19 pandemic.
بصدد تكوين 3 لجان لجنة الشؤون الاقتصادية.
We're in the process of forming 3 committees, the Economic Affairs Committee and the Human Resources Committee, as well as the Text Drafting Committee. This is a very important one, because it is the committee that will regulate the tax and prepare them for the signing in the Great Joint Committee on Wednesday, September 14th.
التوقيع في اللجنة المشتركة الكبرى يوم الأربعاء إن شاء الله 14 سبتمبر.
The Algerian Ministry of Public Works, Irrigation and Base Enterprises confirmed its readiness to start the construction of the road linking Algeria to Tindouf and Mauritania's Azwirat, stretching over a distance of 773 kilometers. The two parties agreed on the executive protocol of the Memorandum of Understanding concluded last December related to the completion of this vital project. The Minister of Energy and Mines, Mohamed Arkab, in his mission as a special envoy of the President of the Republic, Abdelmajid Tebboune, was received Monday in Kuwait by the Crown Prince Sheikh Mishal Al-Ahmed Al-Jaber Al-Sabh, to whom he handed the letter of invitation sent by the President of the Republic to participate in the 31st Arab Summit scheduled for the 1st November 2022 in Algiers. The two officials discussed the preparation underway for holding of this summit, which is a renewed opportunity to promote and strengthen joint Arab action to meet the various challenges facing the Arab nation. Kuwaiti Amir praised the painstaking efforts made by Algeria for the success of this important Arab event, reaffirming the support and full readiness of Kuwait, which will be the first to attend and the last to leave, to contribute to this noble endeavor. Egypt's President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi is set to visit Qatar on Tuesday, his first trip to the Gulf states since 2017, when 3 Gulf states, along with Egypt, cut diplomatic ties with Qatar. Al-Sisi is scheduled to meet Qatari Emir Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani during this 2-day trip, which comes nearly 3 months after Al-Sisi held talks with Sheikh Tamim in Cairo, aimed at promoting relations between the two countries. Generations Communication Forum in support of the Joint Arab Action continues in Iran with the participation of senior officials and civil society activists, as well as academic personalities from 19 Arab countries. Until September the 15th, the debates will focus on key issues facing the Arab nation, Elisa Jimenez tackled the story in this report.
Before organizing the Arab Summit in early November, Algeria is betting on activating the role of civil society in elites as a key engine for unifying Arab action at multiple levels and strengthening Arab-Arab interrelations. In this context, the Algerian city of Oran in western Algeria is hosting the Generations Communication Forum in support of the joint Arab action organized by the National Observatory of Civil Society, with the participation of some 150 high-ranking officials, civil society activists, influencers, and academic figures from 19 Arab states. Participants explored ways to promote joint Arab action on all political, economic, and social aspects, especially since Algeria is in the process of organizing the Arab Summit on the 68th anniversary of its independence. The forum's panelists developed discussions on reviving memory to serve joint Arab action and pointed out the importance of drawing inspiration from memory to enhance the values of solidarity and defend Arab causes. On the occasion, most of the challenges and issues of the Arab countries were presented to advance ways of promoting joint Arab action by returning focus on the centrality of the Palestinian cause to contribute in crystallizing a unified vision towards the current challenges. Participants in this ongoing forum commended Algeria's role in organizing this important step leading to the Arab Summit.
We thank Algeria for this initiative, through which it was able to gather such a large number of Arab countries with such activity that seeks to find mechanisms for joint Arab action.
A very wonderful organization, which reflects what Algeria is promoting today, a high-level development renaissance, not only at the local level, but also at the national level. Because we are the children of this nation, we form one homeland, one Arab homeland, and one heart.
The various speakers have attempted to analyze the international transformations underway and to develop proposals in order to put in place alternatives that meet the needs of the Arab peoples, mainly in connection with security challenges and issues.
There are truly profound changes, structural changes in the world, but also a consensus that has emerged in relation to the capacities of these current or new actors to define other geopolitical situations in the different regions. The Arab region is experiencing a number of security upheavals, linked in particular to decline of certain states and the weakening of other states and their inability to generate operational strategic convergences today.
The Generations Communication Forum is just another sign that the upcoming Arab Summit in Algeria will be successful by virtue of the credibility of Algeria's regional role and its ability to be a peacemaker. Algeria will restore the real agenda that represents the Arab peoples, and there is a great hope that the next summit will be a quantum leap from deteriorating conditions to a new stage of joint Arab action.
To Western Sahara now, where Abi Boushreya Bashir, a member of the National Secretariat of Polisario Front for Europe and EU, warned that crossing of the Rally Africa eco-race through occupied Western Sahrawi territories without authorization of the Polisario Front is a clear support to the objectives of the forces of Moroccan occupation aimed at annexing Western Sahara by force. The Sahrawi diplomat said that the rally's organizers pretend to ignore the existence of Western Sahara and plan to cross their territory legally without requesting authorization from Polisario Front, the sole representative of the Sahrawi people. To a different matter now, Queen Elizabeth II funeral continues its journey and it is expected to arrive in London today. This comes as King Charles III of Great Britain has arrived today to Belfast in historic visit for British monarch Nabil Khazini.
Queen Elizabeth II left for the last time her happy place in Balmoral in a funeral cortege that arrived at the old town of Edinburgh, where members of the public lined up to see the new king and the coffin together on the second stage of the Queen's funeral journey.
Difficult to put into words, the emotion is just so much.
Deeply moving. solemn, emotional. Yeah, it was a very special moment.
In London, precisely in Westminster Hall, the oldest building on the parliamentary estate, King Charles III paid tribute to his mother at a ceremony where he pledged to uphold the principle of constitutional government.
As I stand before you today, I cannot help but feel the weight of history which surrounds us and which reminds us of the vital parliamentary traditions to which members of both houses dedicate yourselves with such personal commitment for the betterment of us all.
King Charles III has landed in Northern Ireland for his first official visit as monarch. He is the first king to step foot in the province for almost 80 years. However, the trip is delicate. In Northern Ireland, Irish Republican Party Sinn Féin stayed away from the ceremony in Northern Ireland where Charles was proclaimed king, with the party's leaders saying it was for those whose political allegiance is to the British crown.
So in every corner of the kingdom, he's going to have a very particular issue that he's going to have to deal with. Of course, here in Northern Ireland it's very acute because we come from a divided society, and we come from a single island as well.
This is the first difficult step during his reign in a country where he is set to meet political leaders, including the Vice President of Sinn Féin. The King intends to visit all the nations of the United Kingdom before the state funeral for Queen Elizabeth II next Monday at Westminster Abbey in London.
In a statement, Russia's foreign ministry called on a ceasefire on Tuesday morning between Armenia and Azerbaijan. Moscow expected to both sides to fulfill the terms of the agreement. The ceasefire came after Azerbaijani armed forces allegedly launched artillery strikes against border town in Armenia on Monday, which left 49 Armenian service personnel dead, according to Armenia's Prime Minister Nikol Pashinyan. As the Russian military operation in Ukraine has reached its 201st day, Ukrainian armed forces have succeeded to achieve a notable achievements and advancements in recapturing a large part of the territory that was occupied by Russian forces in the east of the country. Authorities in Kiev are claiming that major gains were noticed during the surprise counteroffensive that was withheld across the eastern Ukrainian region. Osama Ayadi.
Ukrainian troops retook a wide swathe of territory from Russia, pushing all the way back to the northeastern border in some places, and claimed to have captured many Russian soldiers as part of the lightning advance that forced Moscow to make a hasty retreat.
After the successful actions carried out by the defense forces in the Kherson direction, the enemy suffered significant losses in manpower. According to available information, the 810 separate Guards Order Naval Infantry Brigade lost almost 85% of its personnel.
Russia said it was pulling forces out of the Ukrainian towns of Balaklia and Izium, located at crucial points on the supply routes for the campaign in the eastern Ukrainian Donbass region. Ukraine had already claimed the capture of Balaklia in what it said was a lightning advance into Russian-held areas south of Ukraine's second city, Kharkiv. A local Russian administrator had announced that civilians were being evacuated as Russia's offensive lines were breached, and other nearby towns came under heavy pressure.
A three-day operation was carried out to curtail and organize the transfer of the Izium-Balaklia group of troops to the territory of Donetsk People's Republic. During this operation, a number of distraction and demonstration activities were carried out with the designation of the re-elections of the troops.
Ukrainian forces kept pushing north in the Kharkiv region and advanced into the south and east of the country after the swift fall in the Russia's main bastion in the northeast. Zelensky hailed Russia's retreat from the city of Izium in the Kharkiv province as a breakthrough in the 6-month-old war, saying this winter could bring more rapid gains of territory if Kyiv can get more powerful weapons.
We have always kept this goal in mind. We have never forgotten it. The armed forces of Ukraine, our intelligence, and our defense forces are doing their job. I'm sure you all understand what's going on, what we are fighting for, and our warriors do not need any announcements or information waves behind them. Ukraine is taking back its own.
The retreat from the city of Izium marked Russia's forces' worst defeat since they were pushed back from the capital Kyiv in March, as thousands of Russian soldiers left behind ammunition and equipment as they fled.
The International Atomic Energy Agency said that a second backup power line to Ukraine's Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant has been restored, enabling the operator to keep one line in reserve, while the other provides the plant with external electricity it needs for reactor cooling and other essential safety. The IAEA Director General Rafael Grossi has repeated his call for the establishment of a safe zone at the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant. The European Union is set to propose a mandatory target to cut power use in a step toward rationing energy use as the bloc tries to stem the crisis. The EU will propose its package this week, though it will still need to be signed off by member states. This comes as the Czech government agreed on Monday to cap electricity and gas prices next year to shield households from soaring prices on markets. With only 13 days to go before Italy heads to the polls, leaders of the major parties squared off in a televised debate hosted by the national newspaper Corriere della Sera. The chief of the hard-right Brothers of Italy party, Giorgia Meloni, and the head of the center-left Democratic Party, Enrico Letta, argued over soaring energy prices and relations with Europe. It's worth mentioning that the voters in Europe's fourth largest economy go to the polls on the 25th September. The Iranian Foreign Ministry said on Monday that Iran is ready to work with the UN watchdog to save a 2015 nuclear agreement after agencies suspected uranium traces at 3 sites in Iran. Tehran called for agency not to drag behind the Zionist policy which attempt to prevent Iran from being a nuclear power. Islam Seed.
Nasser Kanani, the spokesperson for the Iranian Foreign Ministry, stated on Monday that Iran is prepared to work with the UN supervisory body to save a 2015 nuclear agreement after the IAEA adopted a resolution calling on Iran to provide credible answers to the agency's inquiries into uranium traces at 3 sites in Iran, in which the latter claims that the investigations are politically motivated and urged the agency to resist Zionist pressure over Tehran's nuclear activities.
The Islamic Republic of Iran has announced and it is announcing its readiness to continue constructive cooperation with the International Atomic Energy Agency. The parties to the Vienna process are expected to prioritize the interests of their people and their national interests and not be influenced by the non-constructive and destructive behavior of the Zionist regime.
Furthermore, Kanani refuted claims that Iran has made other demands outside the 2015 nuclear deal and warned that the International Atomic Energy Agency could see unconstructive results if it made no effective moves.
Any unconstructive move similar to the previous unconstructive move by the International Atomic Energy Agency would lead to unconstructive results once again.
Iran has unveiled a drone designed to strike Zionist-occupied areas in response to the latter's threat to attack Iranian positions if efforts to save the nuclear deal fail. France, Britain and Germany expressed hesitations on Saturday about Iran's ambitions to resurrect a nuclear agreement in exchange for lifting sanctions. Tehran rejected the statements, while Moscow referred to it as extremely untimely.
According to Turkey's defense ministry, 4 Turkish soldiers were killed in a clash with militants in northern Iraq while Turkey was carrying out a cross-border ongoing operations. Turkey launched its operation in April to target the Kurdistan Workers' Party members' hideouts in the northern Iraq, which seeks independence. The fighting, which killed at least 40,000 people. Hospital officials and Tigrayan rebels stated that the capital of Ethiopia's northern Tigray region was hit by an airstrike on Tuesday. The report strikes on Mekelle came just days after the Tigray People Liberation Front said it was ready for a ceasefire and talks with Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed government after nearly 2 years of war. This can be a further challenge for parties in Ethiopia's tension atmosphere that might divide the talks. William Ruto is due to be sworn as Kenya's 5th president on Tuesday, a week after the Supreme Court threw out a lawsuit from veteran opposition leader challenging his victory. Ruto will have to blunt the impact of the global surge in food and fuel prices for poor Kenyans, try to solve high unemployment and tackle the rising public debt that his predecessor Uhuru Kenyatta has used to finance development over the 10 past years. Now, in Kenya, the President of the Republic and the Secretary General of Polisario Front, Mr. Ibrahim Ghali, arrived on Tuesday morning in Nairobi to participate in the inauguration ceremony of the Kenyan President-elected Mr. William Ruto. President Ibrahim Ghali was received at the Nairobi International Airport by an official government delegation. According to the Kenyan authorities, it is expected that about 20 heads of the state will attend the inauguration ceremony, as well as heads of government and representatives of countries from all continents and international and regional organizations. It's worth mentioning that Kenya, which gained its independence in December 1963, and the Sahrawi Republic have a strong friendship and solidarity relations, especially Kenya's firm and constant support for the just struggle of the Sahrawi people for their right to freedom and self-determination. Still in Africa, in Somalia, the United Nations World Food Programme is delivering life-saving assistance to more people than ever before, reaching 3.7 million people with relief and over 300,000 with nutrition support. But famine is now an imminent reality unless immediate and drastic action is taken, with the country gripped by a devastating drought and forecast of an unprecedented fifth consecutive failed rainy season. Famine is now projected in several districts of Bay region of Somalia from October to December.
Famine in Somalia is closer than ever. It's an imminent reality if we do not act immediately. As WFP, we know from experience that we cannot wait for a formal declaration of famine to act. So for months, we have been working to scale up our life-saving support in Somalia. We are reaching more people than we've ever have before. 3.7 million people with relief, and more than double the number that we have reached in April. Over 300,000 with nutrition support.
In Northern California, the mosquito fire has burned more than 70 square miles since Tuesday and was just 60% contained as of the Monday night. The steep, rugged terrain makes it difficult for ground crews to access the fire. The area was cooling off after record-breaking heat last week, but fire officials warned that vegetation in the area, from fine grass to big trees, was extremely dry and burning readily. A rocket from Jeff Bezos' space company Blue Origin failed mid-flight shortly after takeoff on Monday. The rocket lifted off around 8 kilometers above ground from Blue Origin's West Texas launch site before crashing into Texan desert. On Monday night, Ethiopia star Zendaya won Outstanding Lead Actress in a Drama Series for the second time at the 74th Annual Primetime Emmy Awards, or rather Emmy Awards. Now, not only is she the youngest person to ever win in category, or having first won when she was 24, she is also the youngest woman to ever collect multiple lead acting Emmys for continuing series, surpassing Mary Tyler Moore's record set in 1966. To this end, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for being with us. Take care of yourself and have a blessed day.